Hey everybody, I'm Philip. And tonight, right now, I'm going to talk about Welcome to Derry, Season 1, Episode 5. In the last one, I was not really liking where we were going with the military stuff, because it didn't make a lot of sense to me. But in this one, we get more clarification on what's actually going on. Turns out, if I understood it correctly, that the military wants to find the 13 pillars or whatever to move them closer to box it in, which okay, that makes more sense. Like they were so vague about it that I thought they just wanted to take them and essentially free it, which made no sense to me at all. But now this makes a lot more sense. They want to trap it in a smaller cage. I'm not sure what they're going to do or what they think they're going to do once they get it into the smaller cage. I almost want to see them do it just to see what happens. Is there a box they're going to put it in, or are they going to make a special prison made out of meteorite pieces? I don't know. And aside from that, this episode can be boiled down to a tale of two sewers. The military goes into the sewers, into the house, down into the well to locate the 13 pieces with Daniel. And then on the other side, we had the kids going down in the sewers because Maddie somehow came back and was talking about how everyone was dead, but one person, Phil, was still alive. So the new Losers Club wanted to go down there and rescue him. So we had the military going down there, and we had the kids going down there, which they weren't dropping subtle hints that something was going to happen. That was probably one of the more tense moments in the episode. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room, of course, every week is the CGI. On the positive side, it didn't ruin any scenes, this week at least, so that's good. It wasn't any glaring, oh, the scene's going really good, and oh, bad CGI just ruined it. Awesome. We didn't have any of that. But it wasn't scene killing, and it wasn't episode ruining this week, so that's good. And the biggest thing, it's been hinted at, but the biggest thing we got is the return of Pennywise proper. Bill Skarsgård appeared as Pennywise. And it was pretty cool. Took 5 episodes, which I don't have a problem with at all. Take your time, build it up. It was cool to see him back in the role on screen, because when it started, I went into this spoiler free, so I didn't know if we were doing some kind of new take on it, but I wasn't sure what version of the lore we were sticking with. But then as the episodes went on, they dropped the hints, from subtle to not subtle about what's going on. So we knew it was a matter of time before Bill came back in the role, which, cool. Let's go ahead and go to my notes. There's quite a few this week, and we can go one by one and talk about it.
Philip's notes.
All right, so last episode we had the attack from Pennywise on to Marge, and he messed up her eye. Oh, and we had Lily standing over with the weapon. This week we see Marge in the hospital. She says that she told them Lily didn't do it, that she cut herself with her glasses, and Lily was trying to help. Of course, no one believes her, and the nurse at the hospital is kind of like, side eye. And then we see that Maddie is back. He was hiding in a tent on the top of that clock tower thing. That was a little weird, but alright. Glad he escaped. Cool. So I was thinking at the time. We find out then that the military, as I said earlier, they want to move the pillars to reduce the size of the cage. And I wrote, that makes so much more sense. So, okay, cool. At least we went in a very common sense approach to it. We're not just going to remove the pillars and then big giant question mark, that kind of thing. Maddie then tells the club that Teddy was killed. Susie bled out. She had her arm ripped off and then just bled out, crying until she no longer cried anymore, which was really sad. But Phil was still alive, technically. Maddie said that he couldn't talk. It was non-responsive, but he was still alive. The kids want to go tell the cops about what happened and that Maddie's back. And he says, I'd rather go back to the sewers than go back there, referring to his home with his father. In the moment, you're thinking, damn, how bad was it for him there? Like, holy crap. Now, knowing what we know now makes sense. I would rather go back to the sewers. I'm sure you would. But at the time, you're thinking, holy crap, poor kid. The Native Americans are having a meeting, and they say whenever it sheds, it's been tainting the water, which explains a lot about the town. Now, they said the people in town get more aggressive when this happens. I thought it was a very interesting idea that, it sheds and poisons the water and does something to the people. And since it's like pure extract from the entity, they said it makes people aggressive, but like, what exactly is it doing on a different level, on a psychological level? Because it feeds off fear. It's manipulative. It can, like, if you're having runoff from a pretty much pure evil being that feeds on fear, and you ingest that runoff, it makes you wonder. We find out that Shaw didn't remember what happened with him and Rose when they were kids when he came back to Derry. Apparently, the Defense Department administered some kind of drug to him 5 years prior, and all the memories came flooding back to him, and he was like, that's the secret to winning the war! Still think it's kind of... Maybe it'll stick the landing in the last 3 episodes? I don't know, but we do find out that he knew years prior. And then Rose tells him, you think you can put a leash on this thing? And I thought, yeah. That's the common sense viewpoint, isn't it? But then she tells him, let me help. Your lives depend on it. Which I thought was very nice of her. But then Rose goes to meet Daniel, her nephew, I believe. And she'd taken the shard out from her safe in her house and given it to him, because he was going to be the guide that took them down into the sewers. She says, they understand you're the only one who knows how to use it. Like, she nods at him. You're thinking, what's the actual motive here? And with the way things played out, I don't know, like what was the plan? What was the plan, I guess? The kids decide to go into the sewers to rescue Phil. And they take Lily's mom's Happy Place pills, but they take 3 pills each. And I'm sure a lot of you out there are thinking the same thing. Like, 3 pills is way too many, especially for kids. Like, just take 1. I get err on the side of caution when you're dealing with a creature like this. Totally get it. But at the same time, it proved later in the episode, yeah, 3 is way too many. And they wore off super quick. It seems. We'll get to that. So when the military is down there, they get split off and separated, because of course they do, down in the sewers. They get split off and separated. And 2 of them see a CGI Uncle Sam, like, brah, at them. Which I thought was interesting that was that one guy's fear. Thought that was well played. And then, as I said earlier, we have the kids in the sewers and the military in the sewers. And I thought, I was like, oh God, are the military gonna, like, accidentally shoot one of the kids? Oh no. I was really, that's when the tension started, like, ramping up for me. Like, this is how you can build tension without crap-ass CGI. Just build it in the narrative and, it could be way more effective. For me, it was. And then Daniel runs away when there's a distraction, but as he's running away, he drops the fragment. And I don't know, like, what was supposed to happen? And he doesn't have the fragment now, and he's in the sewers. And we never find out what became of him. Maybe we'll find out next episode. But as of now, we don't know. I just thought it was weird that we did all that setup. I mean, the setup was on purpose to what we got to later, which we'll get to. But his involvement just seems rather, not pointless, because it had a point. That's not the word I'm looking for. But it just seems kind of time-wasting, time-killing, I guess. Like, in the end, it really wasn't. I understand that, because the shard needed to get where it needed to get. We'll touch on that. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to know, what was the plan then? Because she says, you're the only one who knows how to use it. Well, what was he supposed to do with it? Like, he was supposed to run off ahead and do something. Was it just supposed to protect him until he got out? Was it as simple as that? Am I reading too much into it? Maybe. But then they're down there, and Halloran falls into the water. There's a drop-off. Halloran falls into the water and gets into, like, a memory. The woman who he saw a couple episodes back, 1 or 2 back, I guess it was actually his grandma, not his mom. It was hard to tell from far away. But the grandfather comes in with a box. It's chained up with a padlock on it. And obviously it's Pennywise. But he's saying, open the box. Open the box. And we find out that the grandmother and Halloran both have the same power. And they can communicate with their minds. And she's like, don't do it. Because whatever's in the box, he locked up for a reason. I like that mystery. I like the mystery box idea. I'm not sure how it played out, but we don't know what's going to happen overall. But at the time, I thought it was interesting that, Halloran has these powers that he inherited, but he had to lock some of them away. And then we kind of find out a little bit at the end as to why. But I just thought it was very intriguing how they're going about Halloran's powers. I think he's still the most fascinating character in the show for me personally. And then Hanlon and Russo, I think is his name. They're together because everyone gets separated in the sewers, like I said. Hanlon sees his wife, sees Charlotte down in the sewers, but then he shoots her because, it's not her. And I thought, if Pennywise preys on your fear, is Hanlon's fear his wife? That's interesting. But then Hanlon says, if you encounter something that's not supposed to be here, you kill it. And then I thought back to the kids are in the sewers. They're not supposed to be there. Oh no. To what I wrote earlier, that the military is going to accidentally shoot one of the kids. I thought, oh no. Oh no. Then speaking of the kids, they are following Maddie, who is leading them through the sewers, and then they come to a dead end. And the bodies of the actual children start popping up out of the water, including Maddie. And in the back, you hear Maddie spinning, saying a little nursery rhyme thing, and slowly turns into Pennywise. That was cool. Yeah, I liked it, and I even wrote Pennywise in big letters. Yay! Made me happy. And then in that moment that, they were foreshadowing, Hanlon and Russo are trying to get out, but they hear voices. And around the corner comes Will. And Hanlon has his gun up. And Russo's like, I see it too. They're real. And before Hanlon can get the shot off, Russo goes to stop him, but gets shot, saving his son. And that was close. I was just like, I was so nervous. And in the midst of all this, Lily got separated from everyone else. And as she's running through the sewers, she comes to another dead end. And behind her, she hears a voice, and it ends up being Pennywise. And he's coming after her, and he gets close to her, all scary, and then bam, big teeth to eat her, but then stops. Between him and her is the shard that Daniel dropped. I'm assuming it's lighter than water, and it just doesn't sink to the bottom of where Daniel dropped it, and it flowed in the sewer water there. I'm just gonna have to believe it's a light material that can float but somehow sink. Where it just, I'm not gonna nitpick it. I was just like, how did it get there? But okay, it's fine. It's fine. During the episode, Mr. Grogan was being taken to Shawshank, and while being taken there, the bus crashed. He says something attacked it. But when the social worker lady or whoever from Juniper Hill, who's been talking to Lily, which she made Lily promise her not to go in the sewers, and Lily did it anyway, she goes to get in the car. Mr. Grogan's in the back seat and just tells her to drive. So they drive to some woods. She gets out of the car. He gets out of the car. And twist, she's the one that he has been seeing. She's the married woman. She's the married woman that he's been seeing. That could be bad news. Especially we kind of met her husband earlier in the episode and seems kind of like, not a good guy. So the fear of it all makes sense. And we find out the roads are blocked off, the police are searching the woods. And he says to her, I think I know someone that can help, referring to Charlotte. And so she goes to the base to meet with Charlotte. So we'll see what happens with that next week. And then Hanlon gets out. He's given his statement about what happened. And he asked, did Halloran make it out alive? And Shaw says, not yet, but if anyone can make it out, it's him. And then the closing shot is Halloran indeed coming out of the sewers looking messed up. He's being affected by something. And then off in the distance, we see a soldier walking away. It's clearly Russo. Russo turns. He has like the cloudy eyes. He's dead. And Russo sees Halloran. Halloran sees him. And then we have a shot of the box opened with light just beaming out of it. And that's the end of the episode. And my last note was, Daniel is still down there, which I mentioned already. And that's all for my notes. Anything else? Or from patrons or on Patreon. Not bad. Not bad. We got some answers. The plot's moving along. We got Pennywise back. I liked how they used him. I liked how he impersonated Maddie to get the kids down there. The military stuff didn't bother me nearly as much. The explanation made more sense, but I still think it's a little silly, as said. But we'll see. Maybe they have a plan, and the plan that they have will make a lot more sense once we find out. It'll be like, oh, okay. As I said a long time ago. Oh, okay. That's what you're going to do. Cool. But right now, how are you going to weaponize it? How? That's the big question I have. And yes, there was CGI, but it wasn't end of the world. I do think they could do better. But if you saw Welcome to Derry episode 5, what did you think? What's your favorite plot thread right now? Like, mine's Halloran. I really like what they're doing with him. Yeah, next week's going to be weird because Shaw even said, I'll deal with the Native Americans for what they did. I thought Rose would have been a lot madder at him for what they did to her nephew. But maybe she was just like quiet anger and plotting. But yeah, we'll find out next week what's going on. That's going to wrap it up for me. As always, I don't have a fancy outro. So I'll simply say thank you for watching. And I will see you next week for episode 6. Until then.